A slap heard around the world, one woman's costly mistake. Welcome, travelers, to our fireside of stories where tales of courage, humility, and wonder come alive. You've stepped into a world woven with lessons and heart. Today's story awaits, but first, where are you joining us from? A cozy cafe in Paris? A bustling street in Tokyo? Drop a comment and share your corner of the globe. If this journey moves you, hit that subscribe button to catch tomorrow's special tale. Let's light the spark of storytelling together, settle in, and let the adventure begin. Under the golden glow of a late afternoon sun, the ancient stones of Buckingham Palace stood silent, whispering tales of history to those who paused to listen. London hummed softly in the distance, its rhythm blending with the chatter of tourists, their cameras clicking like a metronome against the fading light. Among the crowd was Lisa Thompson, a 45-year-old real estate agent from Connecticut, her sharp American accent cutting through the gentle buzz. Clad in a pastel blouse that fluttered in the breeze, her diamond tennis bracelet glinted with every gesture, a deliberate badge of her wealth. Lisa carried herself with the confidence of someone accustomed to getting her way, her designer handbag swinging like a scepter of status. Back home, her name opened doors at country clubs and high-end boutiques, but here, at the heart of British tradition, those doors were firmly closed. She was no ordinary tourist, or so she believed, her digital business card, a pixelated boast of her mid-level agency, ready to prove her importance. Yet the palace gates, unmoved by her credentials, stood as a quiet rebuke to her self-perceived grandeur. Across the courtyard, standing sentinel in his scarlet tunic, was Michael Bennett, a 28-year-old royal guard, his bearskin cap a towering symbol of centuries-old duty. At first glance, he was a picture of stillness, his eyes fixed forward, his ceremonial rifle gleaming in the sunlight. But beneath the polished exterior beat the heart of a combat veteran, forged in the crucible of Afghanistan and Iraq. Michael's medals, though hidden under his uniform, were etched into his soul, each one a story of sacrifice, of brothers lost, of nights under fire. His discipline was not a performance, but a testament, a living thread in the tapestry of honor that stretched back through generations. To the tourists snapping photos, he was part of the palace's grandeur, a living postcard of tradition. To Lisa, however, he was merely an obstacle, another figure to bend to her will, his silence mistaken for weakness in her entitled gaze. The air carried a subtle tension, like the pause before a storm. Tourists milled about, unaware of the drama about to unfold. A French family adjusted their lenses, an elderly British couple exchanged quiet remarks, and a group of Japanese photographers captured the palace's majesty. Lisa, however, was blind to the beauty around her, her frustration mounting as she demanded entry long after the day's final tour. Her voice, sharp and commanding, sliced through the calm, drawing curious glances. The palace staff, led by a dignified man named Edward, explained the strict security protocols, but Lisa's indignation only grew. "Do you know who I am?" she snapped, thrusting her phone forward, her business card glowing on the screen. To her, status was a key, but here, it unlocked nothing. As Edward stood firm, Lisa's gaze shifted to Michael, his stoic presence igniting a spark of defiance in her. In that moment, a single act was brewing, one that would ripple far beyond the courtyard, pitting fleeting entitlement against enduring honor, and setting the stage for a lesson that would echo in hearts far and wide. Lisa Thompson's face burned with fury, her designer heels clicking like a countdown to chaos. The sting of being denied what she believed was her right fueled her every step. Her eyes, narrowed with indignation, fixed on Michael Bennett, the 28-year-old royal guard standing tall in his scarlet tunic, his bearskin cap a silent emblem of duty. To Lisa, his unwavering silence wasn't strength, it was an insult, a challenge to her status as a 45-year-old Connecticut real estate queen. Her diamond bracelet flashed as she thrust her phone forward, the glowing screen displaying her business card like a weapon. "I'm not some nobody," she snapped, her voice sharp with her New England edge. "I close million-dollar deals. I deserve attention." Around her, tourists shifted uncomfortably. A French family stepped back. An elderly British couple whispered disapproval, and Japanese photographers lowered their lenses, sensing trouble. Lisa's voice climbed, each word slicing the air. "Hey, you with the ridiculous hat," she taunted, planting herself inches from Michael's face, her tone dripping with the same venom she'd used to berate waiters back home. "I need you to make this right, now!" Michael stood unmoved, his ceremonial rifle steady, his discipline forged in the fires of Afghanistan and Iraq. To him, the uniform was a mantle of sacrifice, not a costume, but Lisa saw only a target for her rage. "What, you deaf?" she scoffed, waving her manicured hand, her rings catching the fading light. "This your big act? Playing statue while real people get ignored? Pathetic." The crowd's murmurs hushed, a young boy tugging his dad's sleeve, asking, "Why's she yelling?" Lisa didn't notice, her focus locked on breaking Michael's resolve. Her words grew sharper, each one a jab at his stoic presence. "I bet you're no soldier," she sneered, circling him, her Hermes scarf fluttering like a flag of entitlement. "Just some wannabe in a silly outfit posing for tourists." An elderly veteran in the crowd, his medals glinting faintly, clenched his jaw, his eyes fixed on the scene. Lisa leaned closer, her perfume overwhelming. "You think you're above me? I've got a Mercedes, a gated mansion, 3 charity boards. I'm somebody." "You're just nothing." The air grew heavy, the crowd's silence deafening, as if the world held its breath. Michael's face showed the faintest twitch, a flicker of strain, but his posture remained a fortress, unyielding against her onslaught. Lisa's rage hit its boiling point, her voice quivering with unchecked fury. "You're gonna listen to me," she hissed, her hand trembling as it rose, diamonds sparkling like a warning shot. The crowd froze, sensing the line she was about to cross. Then, in a flash, her hand struck Michael's cheek, the slap ringing out like a gunshot. Gasps erupted, a child's cry cutting through the shock. "Unbelievable," someone muttered. A red mark bloomed on Michael's face, stark against his pale skin, but he didn't waver. His eyes, steady and piercing, locked onto Lisa's, not with anger but with a quiet strength that dwarfed her fleeting victory. Lisa stood there, hand still raised, a flicker of triumph fading into uncertainty. She'd expected him to crumble, to bow to her will. Instead, she faced a force far greater than her wealth or status, a dignity she couldn't touch, setting the stage for a reckoning that would shake her to her core. The slap still echoed, a sharp crack that hung in the air like a storm's first thunder. Lisa Thompson stood frozen, her hand trembling, the diamonds on her fingers catching the dying light. Her smug triumph flickered, replaced by a shadow of doubt as Michael Bennett, the 28-year-old royal guard, remained unshaken. The red mark on his cheek burned bright, but his posture, rigid, unyielding, spoke louder than her outburst. His eyes, steady as steel, locked onto hers, not with rage, but with a quiet power that seemed to swell with every second. The crowd, stunned, silent, held its breath, their phones lowered, their faces a mix of shock and awe. A child's sob broke the stillness, followed by a hushed, "My God," from a nearby tourist. Lisa's confidence wavered, her designer scarf fluttering like a flag of surrender. Then Michael spoke, his voice low, commanding, cutting through the tension like a blade. "Ma'am," he began, each word deliberate, "in 12 years of service, I've faced gunfire in Afghanistan, dodged mortars in Iraq, buried friends who died for the freedoms you're trampling." His tone wasn't angry. It was steady, forged in battle, carrying the weight of sacrifice. "This uniform," he continued, gesturing to his scarlet tunic, "isn't a costume. Every button, every crease honors those who stood for duty, for respect, values you've shown you don't grasp." Lisa stumbled back, her heel catching, her bravado crumbling under his gaze. The crowd stirred, some nodding, others wiping tears as Michael's words painted a legacy she'd mocked. From the onlookers, a figure stepped forward. Colonel Robert Carter, a 70-year-old veteran, his campaign medals glinting like silent rebukes. "2 tours in Afghanistan," he said, his voice firm, weathered by years in the trenches. "That medal on his chest? It's for valor under fire, not standing still." He pointed to Michael, then to his own decorations, earned in the Falklands while Lisa was likely sipping champagne at galas. "You built your gated mansion," he told her, "while men like him risked everything to protect your world." Lisa's designer glasses slipped, clattering to the ground, her hand, the one that struck Michael, hanging limp, her diamond bracelet now a weight of shame. A younger man, dressed in civilian clothes but with a soldier's bearing, spoke up. "RAF, sir," he said to Michael, his voice thick with respect. "2 years back, your unit covered our evac in Helmand. Lost 2 men getting our wounded out." Michael nodded, a silent bond of shared sacrifice passing between them. The crowd stood taller, some dabbing their eyes, others whispering about honor. A British couple shook their heads at Lisa's disgrace, while a French mother shielded her son, murmuring, "That's not how we act, sweetheart." Lisa's face paled, her mascara streaking, her carefully crafted image dissolving like mist. 2 police officers approached, their steps calm but firm. The woman, Sergeant Emily Carter, spoke with a weary edge. "Ma'am, you'll need to come with us. Assaulting a king's guard is serious." Lisa's handbag slipped from her grasp unnoticed as the reality of her actions sank in. The crowd's gaze followed her, some with pity, others with disdain, but all felt the weight of Michael's dignity. He stood firm, the red mark fading, his presence a testament to values stronger than Lisa's fleeting power. As the officers led her away, the veteran's medals clinked softly, a final note in a lesson that would linger long after the sun set. The echo of Lisa Thompson's slap faded, but its weight clung to her like a shadow. As Sergeant Emily Carter and her partner led the 45-year-old real estate agent away, her designer heels dragged, no longer clicking with authority. Her mascara streaked down her cheeks, her diamond bracelet glinting mockingly, a relic of the status she'd wielded like a weapon. The crowd's eyes followed, some pitying, others judging, as Lisa's world unraveled. In the holding cell, stripped of her phone, her handbag, her carefully crafted image, She sat alone, the silence deafening. For the first time in years, Lisa faced herself, not as the powerful figure she'd built, but as a woman who'd lashed out at a man whose honor dwarfed her wealth. Her thoughts churned, each one a mirror reflecting her shame. The next morning, Lisa was released with a fine and a warning. The assault charge softened at Michael Bennett's request for leniency, but the legal slap on the wrist was nothing compared to the punishment within. Back at her hotel, she avoided the mirror, unable to meet the eyes of the woman who'd struck a guard for no reason but pride. Her phone buzzed with texts about listings, emails from colleagues, but they felt hollow, like echoes from a life that no longer fit. With 3 days until her flight back to Connecticut, Lisa wandered London's streets, not as the brash tourist she'd been, but as someone searching for something she couldn't name. At the Imperial War Museum, she stood before displays of Afghanistan and Iraq, Michael's words about sacrifice cutting deeper than any lecture. Medals gleamed behind glass, each one a story of valor, and tears, unfamiliar, raw, stung her eyes. In a small cafe, Lisa overheard veterans sharing stories, their laughter laced with pain, their bonds forged in hardship she'd never known. She didn't interrupt, didn't flash her business card. She just listened, her usual need to be the center fading. On her final day, she returned to the palace gates, standing far back, watching the guards' precise movements. Their uniforms, once costumes to her, now carried a weight she couldn't ignore. She thought she saw Michael, his bearskin cap blending with the others, each guard a symbol of something greater. She didn't approach, didn't apologize. Words felt too small for her mistake. Instead, she made a quiet vow, not just to avoid shame, but to live differently. Back in Connecticut, Lisa's transformation took root. She stepped down from 2 charity boards, realizing her involvement had been about status, not service. She started volunteering at a veterans center, not as a big-shot donor, but as a helper, pouring coffee, listening to stories of soldiers who'd faced what she'd never understand. Her Mercedes sat untouched in the garage. She took the bus, finding freedom in anonymity. Colleagues noticed the change. The sharp-tongued Lisa who'd once snapped at minor errors now asked about their lives, her voice softer, her boasts gone. At a country club dinner, when a friend griped about slow service, Lisa murmured, "Maybe they're just doing their job," and changed the topic. The old Lisa lingered in weak moments, but the new one fought to emerge, shaped by that afternoon when her hand met Michael's cheek and found not weakness, but strength. Years later, at a community center, she'd share her story, not as a triumph, but a warning. "I thought I was somebody," she'd say, her voice steady, humble. "But I was just loud. Real importance comes from what you stand for, not what you demand." Her journey, born from a single reckless act, was a testament that even the most entitled heart could change when faced with the mirror of honor. Lisa Thompson's transformation was still unfolding, her once sharp edges softened by a single afternoon that shattered her illusions. The 45-year-old real estate agent, now pouring coffee at a veterans center, carried the weight of her actions like a quiet scar. The slap she'd delivered to Michael Bennett, the 28-year-old Royal Guard, wasn't just a moment of rage. It was a collision between fleeting entitlement and enduring honor, a clash that echoed far beyond that day. As Lisa traded her Mercedes for a bus pass, her journey became a mirror, reflecting a truth she'd ignored. Real strength isn't bought with wealth or demanded with status. It's earned through sacrifice. forged in the fire of values that stand taller than any gated mansion. Michael's unyielding dignity, his scarlet tunic a symbol of centuries of duty, had exposed the hollowness of her world, and the lesson burned bright in her heart. Michael, standing firm despite the red mark on his cheek, embodied a legacy Lisa couldn't touch. His silence wasn't weakness. It was a fortress, built on the sacrifices of soldiers who'd faced bullets and bombs, who'd buried friends to protect freedoms Lisa had taken for granted. His words, steady and piercing, had cut through her bravado, revealing a power no commission check could match. "This uniform isn't a costume," he'd said, each syllable a testament to honor. That truth, backed by Colonel Robert Carter's weathered voice and the RAF officer's salute, reshaped the crowd's gaze. They saw not just a guard, but a man who stood for something greater: duty, respect, the quiet strength of those who serve without fanfare. Lisa, once blind to that legacy, now carried its weight, her every step a vow to live differently. This story, born from one reckless act, challenges us to look deeper. How often do we mistake silence for weakness, or tradition for theater? Lisa's diamond bracelet, her designer scarf, her million-dollar deals, they were props in a life built on appearances, crumbling against Michael's steadfast resolve. Her journey shows that even the most entitled heart can change, but only when faced with a mirror that reflects truth. She learned the hard way that respect isn't a privilege you demand. It's a value you earn through actions that honor others, not yourself. Michael's discipline, forged in battle and worn with pride, stood as a beacon, guiding Lisa from arrogance to humility, from shouting her worth to listening in silence. The lesson rippled outward, touching the crowd that day. The French family taught their kids about respect. The Japanese photographers captured Michael's dignity, not Lisa's outburst. The British couple penned a letter praising his restraint. And Lisa, now sharing her cautionary tale at a community center, spoke with a voice stripped of pride. "I thought I was important," she'd say, her eyes steady, humble. "But I was just loud. Real importance comes from what you stand for." This truth, carved from one impulsive moment, asks us to pause. When have we let frustration blind us to another's worth? Could we stand as Michael did, not just against a slap, but against the weight of entitlement? His uniform, his post, his unflinching gaze, they remind us that true strength lies in upholding values worth defending, values that outlast wealth, outshine status, and endure through time. So what would you do in his place? Share your thoughts, because every story, every choice, carries a weight greater than ourselves. Hey, storytellers, what a ride that was. Lisa's clash with Michael's unshakable honor hit hard, didn't it? Now it's your turn to join the conversation. What struck you most? Have you ever seen entitlement blind someone to another's dignity, or maybe faced a moment where you had to stand firm like Michael? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're dying to hear your take, and tell us, where are you watching from? A coffee shop in Seattle, a subway in New York, or maybe a beach in California? Wherever you are, let's connect. If this tale moved you, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss tomorrow's story. It's another one that'll spark your heart. Your comments fuel this journey, so share a piece of your world, your reflections, or even a story of your own. Let's keep the fire of these lessons burning bright together. Hit that comment section, subscribe, and join us tomorrow for more stories that challenge, inspire, and remind us what it means to stand for something greater. See you there! Hey storytellers, buckle up for a tale that'll hit you like a thunderclap. Picture this. Lisa Thompson, a 45-year-old real estate queen from Connecticut, dripping in diamonds, storms up to a royal guard, Michael Bennett, demanding the world bend to her will. Her designer heels click like a ticking bomb, her voice sharp as she mocks his silence, calling his uniform a costume. But Michael, a 28-year-old combat vet who's faced gunfire in Afghanistan, stands like a rock, his dignity unshakable. Then, bam! Lisa slaps him, the sound echoing like a gunshot, shocking the crowd. Gasps ripple, a kid cries, but Michael, he doesn't flinch. His piercing words cut deeper than her hand ever could. This uniform honors sacrifice, not your status. Veterans step up, medals glinting, backing his truth. Lisa's world crumbles. She's led away, her bravado in tatters. But that's not the end. In a holding cell, Lisa faces her shame, sparking a journey from gated mansions to pouring coffee for veterans, learning humility the hard way. This isn't just a slap. It's a clash of entitlement versus honor, a lesson that'll stick with you. Where are you watching from? New York, LA, or somewhere across the globe? Drop it in the comments, share what hit you hardest, and smash that subscribe button for tomorrow's epic story. Let's dive into this wild ride together. Trust me, you won't look away.